let's get to our morning business report. Costco making a big change to its popular hot dog combo deal for the first time in decades.
And the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady. So what does that mean for you and your finances? Let's get to Channel 3's Jane King live at the New York Stock Exchange with those stories and more. Good morning, Jane.
Tracy and Caitlin. Good morning. Yes, the Federal Reserve decided to keep interest rates unchanged. That was widely expected. What was not expected, though, how deeply divided the vote was. 8 members were against a cut, 4 wanted one. Basically what it means for us, little change that we'll see in credit card, interest rates, car loans, things like that. Those are going to hold steady. Now, the chair, Jerome Powell, described economic growth as solid, did warn that higher energy prices, though, could push up inflation, and he also told reporters he will stay on the board of the Federal Reserve, not chair, but on the board until the legal challenges from the White House are resolved. Well, Americans are scaling back travel spending this year, with 58% planning to spend less than last year. The online survey conducted by Talker Research on behalf of Cheap Caribbean Vacations found that rising costs are reshaping travel habits, with budgets down an average of 23% compared to last year. Despite those pressures, travel is still a priority, but Americans are seeking out more travel deals and staying with friends and family to save money. And frugal fans at the Costco food court now able to pair the quarter-pound all-beef hot dog with the 16.9-ounce bottle of Kirkland's signature water rather than a soda. There's no change in the cost, still $1.50. The minor change caters to foodies who just prefer the resealable bottle. They don't drink soda or looking to lower their sugar intake. This is the first change to the famous Costco combo in 40 years. Okay, the Dow down 250 points yesterday. Other markets were mixed. Apple reports earnings later today. This morning, we're looking a little bit higher for the start. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.